I thought I would show you a couple of things that sold overnight. I showed this yesterday, but I'm shipping it this morning. This is a Texas Instruments TI-84 Plus graphing calculator with the cover. Tested, it works. I paid $1.99 for this. I sold this for in just a couple of days for $55.99 plus shipping. I had it listed as first class shipping. I decided to just upgrade it and put it in a flat rate envelope. And I'm going to show you how I wrap this to go in a padded envelope so that it would be protected. I'll show that in a little bit in a video. But anyway, that was a pretty good score and it sold really quickly. So I recommend that you look for these. Again, TI-84 Plus Texas Instruments graphing calculator. The next thing I sold was this West Bend. It's a curly fry cutter. I paid $4 for this. I thought it would be worth more, but I listed it. It sold really quick for $18.99. My daughter took these pictures, and I have to say she's getting better. There's a lot of white here, but she got everything in the picture, and she did take some decent pictures. So I'm real happy with that. But yeah, but anyway, sold $18.99. I think this was listed for about a few days, maybe 5 or 6 days. Listed this just yesterday. It sold within a couple of hours. This is the Wii U Deluxe. It's a 32 gigabyte game system that has this big controller with a screen. So I bought it not knowing whether it would work or not, because the tag at the thrift store said that it may not work. I got it home, I tested it. It doesn't work. But I only paid $25 for this, and it sold within 2 hours for $109.99. And I packed that up and got it shipped out this morning. I listed this yesterday. It sold overnight. This is a Cuisinart food processor bowl. It's just the bowl. There's no blades. There's actually some significant wear here that I pointed out. But I sold this for $19.99 plus shipping, and again, that sold within probably 8 to 10 hours of me listing it. And then finally, this is a recorder, a DVD recorder, and I bought this for $12.99, and it had the manual, everything with it. It was tested and it worked. And I got an email yesterday from a guy that said, look, I want to buy this. Is there any way you could do a discount? And I did not have best offer as an option on this. But I lowered the price to $175, and this morning while I was at the storage unit, he bought it. So that's the flip that I wish I could get, one a day of. But anyway, that was a nice flip. I think this was listed at less than 30 days. And again, Holly took pictures of this as well. So she's doing much better with her picture taking. I'm really pleased with it. And now she's convinced that it's her picture taking that is making things sell. I digress there. But anyway, that's what sold. I'm going to bring to you a little video of how I packed the calculator to ship that in a padded flat rate envelope. And then I'm going to do something fun with some nostalgia. And then I wanted to talk to you about recalled items and how you can check for those, because that's really important, and it is your responsibility to know, because you're not supposed to sell recalled items unless they're whatever part has been changed or whatever. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. So you guys stick with me. There's a lot more to come. So this is the calculator, and what I'm going to do is put this in a flat rate envelope. I may have to cut some of this cardboard off, but because of the padded flat rate envelope, doesn't matter how much it weighs. I put it in a plastic bag with my business card, my thank you card, and then I put that in some fat bubble wrap so that I really couldn't even feel the calculator anymore. But for some added some added, you know, kind of crush resistance. I just wrapped it in a box flap that I had from Frankenboxing, and I'm just going to put it in a padded flat rate envelope, and I'm done with that one. So, you know that I like to be nostalgic. I'm very, very nostalgic, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm happy that I'm nostalgic, and I like to think about a lot of things past and reminisce, and that's just part of who I am. And I think, honestly, by some of the comments I get, it's really more common than I like to think it's something special about me, but it's really common about a lot of people. So I thought what I would do is every once in a while, I would just take a year and review it. And I do have a point, I promise, at the end of this, in this episode maybe in the future I won't have a point, but in this one I do have a point. But I thought we would talk about, you know, and we've talked about in videos past that I have terrible memory. So the year that I chose is kind of a year that I sort of remember some of the events in. That year is 1977. And I was a kid in 1977. So I thought I would just read through some of the events that happened in 1977 and just talk about some of the nostalgia. And you guys can let me know in the comments below if you're interested in this kind of thing or not. And if you're not, I'll just read it to myself sometimes and I won't film it. Okay, I digress. 1977, Apple Corporation, Apple Computer was incorporated. The Super Bowl 11, do you feel old now? The Oakland Raiders defeated the Minnesota Vikings 32-14 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Snow falls for the first time in history in Miami, Florida. Jimmy Carter is sworn into office as President of the United States of America, and the next day he pardons the Vietnam War draft dodgers. Roots begins. I don't know if you guys remember that epic, huge Alex Haley series that was released on ABC, but I sort of remember it, but I feel like I watched the first 10 minutes of every episode and fell asleep because I was a kid. But yes, that was released in ABC in 1977. Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors, with all of those wonderful hits, was released in 1977. I think Dreams was one of those biggest hits, but I think they need to work on some of the lyrics because I'm having a little trouble with some of the lyrics. Let's think about it. Thunder only happens when it's raining. No, it doesn't, because I've been in a dry area and I've heard thunder without actually getting wet. Players only love you when they're playing. Players never love you, ever, ever. Women, they will come and they will go. And so do men. When the rain washes you clean, you'll know. What does that mean? Does that mean I'll have some kind of existential knowledge, or does it mean that I'll just know that the rain washed me clean? I'm very confused by these lyrics. I've always been confused by these lyrics, but I don't do drugs, so maybe I need to be enhanced to understand them. But I digress, okay? Star Wars was released in 1977, Episode 4. But we didn't have to call it Episode 4 in 1997 or 1977 because there was only one, and it was Star Wars, and it was the most fantastic thing that we had ever seen. We never saw anything like it, ever. It was groundbreaking. It was a beautiful movie. But now it's known as Star Wars Episode 4 because they gacked it all up with all of these other episodes that they brought out. I'm not emotional about it, though. AJ Foyt wins the Indianapolis 500 for an unprecedented 4th time. Roy Sullivan, who's just a regular citizen here in these United States, was struck by lightning for the 7th time. not a lucky fella. Elvis Presley performs his last ever concert in Indianapolis, Indiana. He died August 16th at his home, Graceland, he was in Tennessee, and he was 42 years old. And every time I think about this, I always think of that Forrest Gump scene where he's like, must be hard being the king. Anyway, the New York City blackout lasts for 25 hours, and it results in looting and civil disorder. And if you don't know, or you don't have a lot of information about the blackout, there is actually a documentary, and because I'm a nerd, I watched it on Netflix right now that talks about it, and it talks about the things that led up to the blackout. And I mean, can you imagine? It was a hot summer, and people were hot in their, in the city. Those buildings hold all that heat. Now they don't have lights, air conditioning, refrigeration of any kind, and there was a huge amount of devastation that was done to buildings, so much damage done. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, watch that documentary. I think it's called Blackout on Netflix. It's pretty good, actually. I got a lot of information that I didn't have before. In 77, there was a flood in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, caused by heavy rainfall that killed 75 plus, I don't know exactly the number of people, and caused billions of dollars in damage. It's kind of interesting, I think, what Mother Nature can do. I mean, what she can do when she decides she wants to reclaim something. So, yeah, gosh, I mean, just craziness. Led Zeppelin played their last U.S. concert after a brawl erupted between the crew and the promoter's staff, and ended up leading to assault charges for several members of the Led Zeppelin entourage, including drummer John Bonham. Guess they didn't want to come back anymore. Jimmy Carter, again, signs legislation creating the U.S. Department of Energy. I didn't know that department was so new. I mean, that's relatively new. So, yeah, Department of Energy. The son of Sam, David Berkowitz, is captured in Yonkers, New York, after a string of murders that occurred over the course of a year. Pele plays his final professional football game as a member of the New York Cosmos, or Cosmos, I don't know. Reggie Jackson hits 3 home runs and leads the New York Yankees to the World Series victory. Harvey Milk is elected city supervisor in San Francisco, and if you don't know, because there was a movie about him several years ago, Harvey Milk was like the first openly gay political leader that got elected. Little Abner, if you all remember that, it was a play. It was also a comic strip that ended in 1977 after running for 43 years. Feature films in 1977 would include the aforementioned Star Wars, but also Woody Allen's Annie Hall, Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta in those pants, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which scared the crap out of me because I was a kid and I was watching it outside at a drive-in. I remember this very clearly, being scared to death. The Goodbye Girl, and also Smokey and the Bandit, which was probably a little too racy for me to be watching, but I'm pretty sure that I saw it at the drive-in. The Atari 2600 was released in October that year. It was the coldest winter for 59 years in the Ohio Valley region. And I remember this because I lived in the Ohio Valley region in 1977, and it was freezing cold, and there was snow for days. It snowed and snowed and snowed. I think we got a record 23 inches. It was just insane. Also, the Mississippi River froze as far north as Cairo, Illinois. Deaths that year included Gummo and Groucho Marx, who died a couple of months apart, Joan No Wire Hangers Crawford, Freddie Prinze, Bing Crosby, Charlie Chaplin, and 3 members of Lynyrd Skynyrd died in a charter plane crash. In 1977, you could watch American Bandstand, Happy Days, All My Children, $6 Million Man, Barney Miller, Beretta, Charlie's Angels, Welcome Back Kotter, Face the Nation, Captain Kangaroo, The Carol Burnett Show, 60 Minutes, MASH, Barnaby Jones, or as my mom would call him, One Shot Barnaby, because he only shot once and he injured or killed whoever he was shooting at, Kojak, Alice, The Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, McCloud, McMillan and Wife, Emergency, Sanford and Son, Chico and the Man, Columbo, Policewoman, The Rockford Files, Quincy M.E., Little House on the Prairie, and The Bionic Woman. And that was just on NBC, CBS, and ABC. And I submit to you that in 1977, those 3 TV stations had better shows on every day than the 100 cable channels that I have. I'm serious. If you want to throw in PBS, you could watch Sesame Street, The Electric Company, Masterpiece Theater, and Nova. And surprisingly, 3 of those 4 shows are still airing today, with The Electric Company ending in 1977. But I loved that show when I was a kid. Hey, you guys! Love that. Morgan Freeman was on that show as one of the characters, and he was always like the easy reader, like the real funky guy. But yeah, I remember that show. And then finally, to round this out, Billboard says that the top 3 songs were number 3, Best of My Love by The Emotions, number 2, I Just Want to Be Your Everything by Andy Gibb, and number 1, Tonight's the Night, Gonna Be Alright by Rod Stewart. And that was the pop charts. I did not check the country charts. I will do that the next time. All of that being said, I did want to point out that, you know, there are those vintage electronics that came out about that time. Mattel did a handheld electronic football game that came out in 1977. I think that's probably worth some money, and I can tell you that the 1977 Star Wars characters can bring a nice amount of money. Any of the characters, not any, many of the characters in the blister pack, you know, the plastic with the cardboard back that has the single character in it, some of those can bring upwards of $1,000 if they're in good condition and still sealed. So I wanted to bring that to you as a sort of bolo. And then the point to all this, one of the things that I wanted to mention and something that you may not be aware of or even just cognizant that you need to think about are recalled items, because you cannot sell recalled items on eBay. And I think that unless the recall has been, you have done whatever the recall recommended. In other words, there was a seat, I want to say it was a Bumpo, but I can't remember, that you can't sell the seat because it's recalled unless you have gotten the safety strap that was a part of the recall. In other words, you contact the company, they send you the safety strap for the seat, then you can sell it. The items that would need to be replaced, I would say that would be harder to sell. But I just want to make you aware that you need to be responsible for the items that you're selling. And the way that you can check that is to go to Consumer Product Safety Commission's website, that's cpsc.gov, and look up recalled items. And there's a search bar there. You can search the item if you think, maybe this had a recall at some point. They also, I think, have a Facebook page. But anyway, because there are items, I would particularly suggest that you check toys that you're unfamiliar with, and also baby products. Those seem to be the big two, but they're not the only ones, of course. Um, but I just wanted to give you that resource so that you can cover yourself. For one, you know, you don't want to sell items that are recalled. That's dangerous. You don't want the liability of that. But two, if you're trying to sell products that are recalled in eBay, eBay might say, no, we're going to pull this listing down. But if you're persistent and you relist those items, you can get your account suspended. So I just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention. I don't think it's something that's talked about a lot, or definitely enough. But go to that website, cpsc.gov. I'll try to put it in the link below if I remember, but you know I got this memory issue. But anyway, that was the year of 1977. I am in the process of reorganizing and cleaning and getting rid of stuff out of this room. I'm not going to list anything today. We'll maybe relist a couple of things. But anyway, I just thought that would be fun to run through. Again, let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of thing. If you don't like this kind of thing, I'm open to everything. I just want to bring some kind of interest and fun stuff to you guys. And also, you know, eBay selling stuff too. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. So, what is it? What is it that I say? Oh, just remember that the dream works when you do. So keep dreaming and keep working, and I'll see you the next time.